This presentation explores the intimate bond between individuals who stutter and their significant others. By examining the unique dynamics of these personal relationships, this session provides a simulated look at our live seminar experience, delivered here in a virtual format to mirror our face-to-face sessions.
Welcome to the significant other of a lifelong stutterer.
There's stutterists in every profession throughout the world. Listen to what we have to say. It may take longer.
There are stutterers in all professions, and we do very well. Disfluency is not a barrier. People think that I'm not very smart, but I am. I just want to be accepted. When I'm alone, I don't stutter.
I hear sometimes they need help when talking on the phone or ordering at a restaurant.
Joining us today to discuss our topic, the significant other of a lifelong stutterer, is Bill Dunbar, who is our host.
Hello, my name is Bill Dunbar, and I am a lifelong stutterer. For many of us, a block or a stutter can make us feel like we stand out in all the wrong ways. After years of hiding, I finally decided to come out of the closet regarding stuttering, that is. Today, we're going to talk about what stuttering actually is, and more importantly, the role of the people who walk beside us. Understanding the mechanism at its core, stuttering, or stammering as some call, is a communication condition that affects the flow of speech. It's not just about getting stuck on a word. It's a complex, and some call it a neurological condition. While most people have occasional ums and uhs, stuttering is distinct in its own frequency and nature. It typically manifests in three ways: repetitions regarding sounds, syllables, or words like www. Where are we going? Prolongations, stretching out a sound. Sometimes I do that, prolonging the sometimes. Blocks, the most visible struggle. This is when the breath or sound is stopped completely, often accompanied by a physical push to release the word, such as ba, ba. The iceberg of stuttering. Speech-language pathologists often describe stuttering as an iceberg. The part the world hears, the blocks and repetition, is just the tip. Beneath the surface lies a massive foundation of hidden experiences. Physical tension, clenched fists, or rapid blinking using to force speech out, such as if you've observed that before. There's also word avoidance, changing a thought mid-sentence to avoid a scary word. So if you feel something is coming up, you want to change that because you feel a block coming on. That would describe it somewhat better. Emotional impact. The heavy weight of shame, frustration, and urge to withdraw from the conversation. My journey began at age 4. I grew up in an environment where speech mistakes were met with corporal punishment. To survive, I became a covert stutterer. I would order orange juice at a restaurant because it was hard for me to say cheese sandwich, even though that's what I really wanted. Now in high school, band, I chose a valve trombone because the horn gave me a public voice that didn't require a physical struggle. Later on, I spent years as a paramedic in a high-pressure EMS environment. Increasingly, I was often fluent with my patients, yet I faced ridicule from my own peers. Eventually, I found my voice. I moved from the back of the ambulance to the front of the camera, hosting my own cable show and founding a company called Dunbar Media. Today, I don't stand here as someone cured, I stand here as someone free. I no longer fear the block. I realize that the goal isn't just fluency, it's communication. I'm grateful for the significant others. That would be my mother, my grandmother, and of course my wife, who helped me and stood by me. The anatomy of the significant other. So, who is the significant other? Is it a spouse, a parent, or a close friend? Someone with whom a stutterer can share their deepest, most bottled up feelings. There are three pillars to being a significant other: the gift of time. We live in a world addicted to speed. When you finish my sentence, you aren't helping, you're taking away my voice. The action. Just wait. Maintain eye contact. Your patience proves my message is worth the time. Focus on the what, not the how. A significant other listens to the ideas, not the mechanics of speech. The action. If I stutter on a joke, laugh at the joke. Don't pity the stutterer. The judgment-free zone. We only hide our stutter when we are afraid of actually stuttering. The action tells us directly, I'm here to listen. Take your time. I don't mind the blocks. This lowers the internal pressure by 90%. We are now moving into the core of our seminar. I'm joined today by my wife, who is a significant other and understands the dynamic from being from the other side. So, your name is Ola?
Hello. Hello.
Great. So, as a significant other, we're going to back up a little bit because we didn't know anything about this years ago. We actually worked together in EMS. And I was new from California and unnervous anyway. But I had a stutter then, mostly more pronounced then than now. So, when you first heard me speak, tell me, what were your thoughts?
Well, I didn't. First of all, I think I didn't know what to expect. So when I first heard it, thinking about it and reflecting on it, actually, it took me by surprise because nobody talks about that. Nobody says. I mean, why didn't nobody else? How would they and why would they? Why would I know that otherwise? And I got to say, first of all, that his speech now is so excellent. You have no idea how long he's been working on this, and he's doing a really, really great job. And at the time, you were like almost every sentence where you had words that were going to be
Blocking,
difficult and
prolongation.
right. So hearing that for the first time, my first reaction and response was just to be quiet. I didn't want to jump in. I think I just wanted to kind of self-reflect and figure out what to do and what was happening. I did notice over time that as we talked more, that if I just stayed quiet and didn't say anything, that brought a calm to the whole atmosphere. And gave you the opportunity to finish what you had to say, as opposed to, some people that want to jump in, or they want to interrupt you or whatever.
We're in a fast-paced society where, a volley of words, people think speed is best, and they get impatient if you're talking slower, or if you have what we sometimes call, or people have called, an accent of blocking or disfluency. So you've had those ingredients already. So tell me more.
So the idea being that at that time, when you really had a lot more disfluency, quite frankly, I didn't know what to do or how to do it. I mean, we're pre-internet. Do I go to the library and look things up? How do I handle it? But I think, like I said, over trial and error, while we were working together, I could see that being calm and being patient and giving you just the chance, the platform to finish what you had to say, caused you to have somewhat less fluency. Let's just say I could see that you were less anxious about trying to struggle to get out any words, or, your accent was decreased a little bit. Let's put it that way. And so then I noticed that if that was happening, the best way to be respectful, early on in a relationship is, since that was working, I decided to continue to do that and just be quiet. But at the same time, I didn't know how to address it with you, and so then in that regard, I just waited for you to open that door, because I know with some personalities, they don't mind if you, are, kind of crass and get into things, but I didn't want to do that.
So you waited for a opening, to be, in a way, allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, when you
And
decided to bring that up.
most people feel that they're not allowed to talk about it, or they don't know how to, handle that. With people with hearing aids and people with hearing or non-hearing people, either you can sign, or and it's more accepted, other than some taboo, and we can't really talk about that because we don't know how to address it. So from that point, you needed the, I guess, opening.
Yeah, yeah. I thought, wait for your cue that it was okay to talk about. Never having been raised with anyone or known anyone else in
Who stuttered?
my personal life that had stuttered before. So when I heard you talking about it, that was my cue that, okay, well, maybe I can ask a few questions. And then it was just, small steps and trying to ask the right questions and get the answers. I think so. It was so early in terms of speech and language and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that anybody really had the decent answers. And I think
The speech therapists thought they did.
Right.
But we find out that isn't it.
Yeah. So I didn't really expect you to have all the answers either. I just wanted, I guess, to know from your perspective what you needed from the person you were communicating with, so to make that communication for you easier. So I just kind of waited for you, and we went kind of question and answer kind of thing, like, hey, should I interrupt and say something? Should I finish your sentence?
Thus the structure of this entire program, about the significant other. And we're going to, give you some of the cues and some of the things that you can do to open this up early on in a relationship, or if you're a parent, how to approach it also. We, as lifelong stutterers, we look at it as we're not, let me kind of back up a little bit. Fear doesn't make a lifelong stutters. It's the fear of non-completion. It's the fear of judgment. Now that sounds like we're splitting hairs, but fear within itself doesn't cause stuttering. we don't fully know. We do know that it is hereditary. We do know that. But they're still doing studies and things of that type. We know that there is a different brain connection. We're somewhat wired a little differently, and there may be a debate on that. And as we'll mention at the end of this program, is the fact that this is not therapy, and for therapy you need to see your professional. But this is more of an opinion, and what helped myself as a lifelong stutterer also.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. So we're going to move into the next session. So let's do that. As I mentioned earlier, that I don't look for a cure, but I do practice some speech management. Stuttering isn't caused by fear, but the fear of stuttering can certainly make the physical blocks tighter and increase them. To break that cycle, I use a few specific tools. Easy onset and prolongation. Some therapists might call it just onset, but let me show you what I do that works for me. This technique, instead of hitting a hard consonant like a B in bill, you start the breath before the sound. Bill, bill. Now, you stretch the first vowel slightly to let the vocal cords vibrate. Why this works? It prevents the physical locking of the throat muscles. It's like a plane taking off smoothly rather than bouncing on a runway. Now, let's go to voluntary stuttering. Some speech therapists are a fan of this. I'm really not, because, I get enough with stuttering anyway. But that's my point of view only. So this technique is purposely stuttering on a word when you don't actually need to. Why it works? It sounds counterintuitive, but it puts you in the driver's seat. When you choose to stutter, you prove to your brain that the block isn't a life-threatening emergency. It desensitizes, let's try that again, it desensitizes the shame. I don't do this every day, but I do practice reading out loud. So why does this work? Well, this builds muscle memory for fluency in a zero pressure environment. It's like an athlete practicing their swing when no one is watching, so they're ready for the game. Remember, the goal isn't to be a perfect speaker. The goal is to be a connected communicator. When you and your significant other are on the same page, the stutter, the mechanics of it, loses its power to isolate you. Thank you very much for watching.
The world is fast, it demands the words, but sometimes they get stuck, they go unheard. I'm fighting the rhythm, I'm chasing the beat, tripping on the sounds, feeling the defeat. But when the door closes and it's just us two, the cloudy air disappears and I'm looking at you. My significant other, my steady ground. In your silence, my true voice is found. I have a lifelong stutter,